All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Markforged live maker stream for the food, beverage, and packaging industry. Today, we will share some extremely valuable insights on challenges, trends, and opportunities, and of course, lots of additive manufacturing applications in this industry. I'm your host, Richard Elving. I'm based in Australia, and I've had the privilege of working with over 10,000 manufacturers over the last 15 years in the industry. And today I'm really excited to have a great lineup. Besides my colleague Edwin, who will be talking about some applications and how 3D printing is being leveraged in the industry. We will also later introduce Mark Emmett, one of our valuable customers from HMPS. And we will be talking about how they are leveraging additive manufacturing and learn more about their company. So first, I just thought we start by looking at some of the challenges and some of the opportunities that are in the food and beverage industry. First, what I will share is that the business confidence in Australia and in the food and beverage industry in particular is very, very high at the moment. And it is the largest manufacturing sector here in Australia where I am based. So it's a very important and key industry for us. So the first challenge that we see in the food, beverage, and packaging industry is, of course, labor shortages. It's very difficult to find skilled labor. Whether it's machinists or assembly or mechanical engineers. And this has been described as one of the largest challenges of the decade for Australian manufacturing, with unemployment now below 3.3% in certain states. So this, of course, is affecting the production of components and packaging and, of course, downstream the food and beverages. The other major challenge that we are seeing is, of course, global supply chain pain, and this is the biggest supply chain constraint since the post-pandemic. And these supply changes are of course causing a lot of pressures on companies that are essentially not having components or parts and can therefore not ship their products, and of course this is affecting the bottom line revenue for many businesses. So one way that manufacturers are trying to overcome these supply chain challenges is that they're now essentially stockpiling parts, creating these massive physical inventories, and of course by doing so, that of course impacts cash flow. We are hearing stories of manufacturers being forced to order very, very large amounts of quantities from their suppliers, and they can no longer, order, ones, twos, or threes anymore. It's all in bulk purchases, right? The other thing that's affecting the industry are, of course, rising costs, and obviously with the labor shortages and the supply chain challenges, the costs continue to go up, right? According to a recent survey, over 57% of all businesses have experienced an increase in their cost of doing business. Certain materials such as metals have risen 40%, and in many cases manufacturers are not able to pass on the cost to customers. So of course this leads to decreased margins, right, which is not great for manufacturing businesses. The other trend that many may not be aware of is sustainability, which is also putting pressure on companies and, having to really question, like, how do we produce things? How do we make things? In Australia, we recently introduced the Climate Bill 2022, which essentially dictates a reduction emissions target of 43%. By 2030 and a net zero emissions by 2050. One survey showed that 63% want companies and corporations to drive more social and environmental change in the absence of certain government action. So of course reducing environmental impact will of course be something that's going to be important today and tomorrow. With these challenges, of course, it's more important now than ever to look at time to market. And as any manufacturer in the food and beverage industry would probably tell you, is that it's very important to keep the uptime of the production line. And of course, with the change of customer demand, you need to be able to respond very, very quickly, whether it's new machinery or a new product lineup or whatever it might be. So that's always a constant pressure to reduce time to market. And then, of course, as we've seen from the beginning of the pandemic to now, customers, they do have they're evolving their desires and their tastes for various types of food and beverages. And of course, it's very difficult to keep up with some of these trends. So it's even more important to have a strong brand and obviously have loyal customers in the industry. So these are all some of the challenges. So how can we essentially work together to overcome some of these constraints, right? And we believe that one of the things that we all need to do is really shift our mindset in how we look at manufacturing and how we look at how we do things, right? And it's really about embracing digital transformation as one key area to really help manufacturers overcome these challenges. So we believe that by embracing this digital smart manufacturing, it will solve a lot of different challenges. A recent State of Manufacturing survey said that 71% of manufacturers claim that digital transformation has increased in importance since COVID. And the thing is that companies really do want to move forward and create these smart factories, right, where we have more automation and we manage, essentially we're managing the entire manufacturing process using data, and we're capturing information. So companies are now actively looking at innovating, and now some more than ever, especially in the food and beverage industry. Companies are essentially forced to innovate and either come up with new ways or new products to keep production going with less resources. However, we believe that this is an opportunity for you as a customer and for us as a manufacturer. So with this in mind, to today's subject, one piece of the digital transformation journey should include additive manufacturing. At Markforged, we call this additive manufacturing 2.0. So what was 1.0? Well, 3D printing was invented in 1986 officially. And if you think about it, really for the first 30 years or so, the technology was predominantly used to create visual representations of objects, right? Where the development in materials and technology has really now enabled additive manufacturing 2.0, which is in itself revolutionary, where we can go from design to print to end-use part in the same day. And by leveraging these types of applications, customers are seeing a tremendous return on investment. So these are some of the applications that we will be talking about today very shortly. If you imagine essentially a print farm, so this is an example from one of our customers, where they are operating this lights out 24/7, and essentially whether you have one printer, 10 printers, 100 printers, or 1,000 printers, a lot of these are operating 24/7 and essentially can produce components at the point of need. So we do believe that this type of scalable solution, leveraging additive manufacturing, will be one key aspect as a part of the future of additive manufacturing. So when customers and manufacturers come to us, they explain that they have these massive inventories, and they may or may not understand what it means to transition to a digital inventory. So we believe that in the future of additive manufacturing, you create a 3D file, like essentially a 3D digital twin of the components that you manufacture or the parts that you need. And then by having a global parts manager, you can then essentially share this digital file, whether it's internally or externally with customers or offices around the world, essentially at the point of need, and the parts can then be produced on demand. What this does is, of course, eliminate costly processes of shipping parts around the world, which can be very, take a lot of time and take a lot of resources. So by leveraging this type of digital inventory, we can produce components and we can save weeks, months, and produce some tremendous return on investments. So we call this the digital forge, and this is essentially a distributed digital factory that we make here at Markforged. So for the last 8 years, we have been developing this platform, and the platform essentially consists of best-in-class hardware that constantly improves, that is using artificial intelligence and the software that we develop to essentially become better and better over time. And as we develop new material, the material and the printers will continue to be compatible. And this is a great example where Markforged originally, we were only producing one material, and now today we have 19 proprietary materials. Many of them are still compatible with our original Mark II printer. So in some exciting news looking forward, Markforged recently made an acquisition of a company called the Digital Metal, and this Digital Metal company will really help Markforged and customers around the world to expand into mass production using metal binder jet. So please keep an eye out on more information around this. So this is really how 3D printing has been scaling and continues to scale. So the message here is pretty simple. Whether you're looking at producing components for this or for that in the food, beverage, and packaging industry, it is definitely a trend that continues to grow and that will not be going away. One quick example that I will share with you, and you'll hear lots of customer testimonials on today's call, is a recent project that we did with the Australian Meat Processor Corporation. You may have seen some media around this. In fact, the press release has now been viewed over 500,000 times, which is amazing. So the Australian Meat Processor Corporation essentially have 107 factories around Australia, and they are looking at creating a world first industry-owned additive manufacturing service model to really help their members, which is red meat processing companies across Australia, to print parts. And this is really a revolutionary processes that they are trying to achieve using the Markforged equipment. As Chris Taylor, the CEO of AMPC, said, meat processors rely on a multitude of equipment with multiple components. Even a small component failure can be extremely costly. The ability to simply print a replacement part could drastically reduce downtime and minimize the need to wait for parts, reducing the chance of supply being at risk. So this is the initiative that they are creating, and very much as described on the previous slide, they are now creating this digital inventory. A lot of the machinery that they have was produced overseas and around the world. Some of it was manufactured, believe it or not, back in the 60s and 70s. So of course, leveraging things like 3D scanning and reverse engineering, they are now creating a digital inventory with the vision of essentially producing these 3D printed spare parts on demand. And you can see kind of the value that they've mapped out here. Not only is it a cost reduction per part, but it's also, of course, the ability to reduce things like downtime and optimizing the inventory costs, reducing taxes, improve logistics, and then, of course, as we mentioned, reducing the carbon footprint, right? Which is amazing. So with that, what I'd like to do is to welcome another customer live here, Mark Emmett. Hey, Mark, are you still with us here? Yes, there you go, Mark. How you doing?
Richard, very well. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So for everyone on the call, Mark Emmett is the managing director at HMPS and ProPack Industrial. Both companies, they essentially design and manufacture packaging machinery for customers in a variety of industries. Of course, the industries that we talk about today, food and beverage, pharmaceutical, and from what I understand, recently some white goods. And Mark is also a APPMA treasurer on the board of the packaging industry here in Australia. So Mark, we're very honored to have you, taking time today. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks again for the invitation.
Absolutely. So, Mark, we are sharing on the screen here a couple of impressive images of your business and your factory and your offices here. So we love to just get an understanding of your company and what is it that you guys do there.
Okay, so HMPS started about 30 years ago building equipment for the wine industry and the Barossa in South Australia. And that's now grown. We've got offices in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. We export about 30% of our production throughout the world, particularly the US and Southeast Asia. And we've got about 110 staff designing and building specialised processing and packaging machinery for food and beverage industries predominantly. But as you mentioned, also anything to do with packaging automation, where in the case we did for white goods, or anything that has to go into a box, I suppose. We're expanding rapidly through acquisitions and new product development, and really see huge opportunities in the moment in Australia to grow the business with the opportunities that are bound by the growth in food and beverage, and also the growth of locally built machinery and reliance on that rather than imported equipment.
That's fantastic. So we spoke a little bit about some of the trends and challenges earlier in the call. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunities in the industry, but of course some challenges. I mean, what is your your take on the future and some of the current trends in the industry, Mark?
Yeah, what you mentioned before about the sustainability. I was in Germany a couple of weeks ago, and big push with all machinery builders to have equipment that uses less energy and also reduces the waste of product as it goes through that equipment. There's some numbers there that 50% of the food that's actually in beverages produced is never consumed. It goes into waste. So anything that packaging and packaging equipment can do to reduce that wastage is a really big thing at the moment. So it's equipment that can extend shelf life is really critical. Equipment that can package products that use less energy through cold chain and storage is another big part of packaging. So yeah, energy consumption, sustainability is a really big push for everyone involved in the industry.
And I guess with that, looking at the future, I mean, what type of future do you imagine, for the industry? How will it continue to evolve, do you believe, Mark?
Oh, I think market is another big driver, that every constantly changing packaging formats to drive attention of consumers, but continuing to find ways to automate food and beverage plants. So the labour's hard to find. I'll talk about that a bit later, but so labour's difficult. So repetitive processes will drive continued automation in food and beverage factories.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I guess it's all about trying to manage these challenges and reduce costs, right? Like any organization is trying to reduce costs, and of course, automation is one key kind of part of that. So I mean, you've already kind of highlighted some of these challenges. Is there any other challenges that you think that we've kind of missed on this call that you see as a business owner or in the industry that, you know, is good for everyone to kind of be aware of?
I think more opportunities at the moment as international markets start to open up again. Those have been challenges over the last few years where we haven't been able to service markets overseas. They're starting to open up again. And as long as we can get an airfare under $20,000 somewhere, that would also be beneficial.
Yeah, no, I guess both airfares and shipping things are quite expensive.
Freight's ridiculous at the moment. So, yep.
Yeah. So of course we are very grateful for you know, the recent investment in 3D printing by your business, and obviously you have a team of engineers that are leveraging Markforged and additive manufacturing, and HMPS is really kind of in the forefront of this. So, you know, why did the company decide to kind of investigate and invest in the technology, and why now?
So I mean, we've got the one printer. It's a toe dipping exercise to start to build a business case to expand that. We've got probably 4 CNC machines and so forth making parts for us. And I see the direction is that by moving towards 3D printing, not for everything, but for a large amount of our parts, your labours, you can do more with the same number of people. So we're not having, you know, the designer can send that component to the printer, the part's printed, and it goes straight onto the trolley to be integrated into the machine. Whereas the process at the moment might be a drawing sent out to an external supplier. It's handled by 3 or 4 different people. It's machined, it comes back in, it's checked in. So I think that I see lots of advantages with simplifying the supply chain of these parts. Definitely what you said before about having lower inventory of components and making what's required. And also particularly light-weighting components in end effectors or grippers on robots. And the weight of that gripper is crucial. And if we can have a lighter part, and the lighter parts can be produced through 3D printing. So I see that as a real opportunity. The next step for us is doing those business cases to make sure that we can move more of our overall component manufacture to 3D printing. Which you're helping with us at the moment.
Of course. Of course. So if we fast forward to say 2025 or 2030, Mark, and we jump on another call like this in you know, 3 to 7 years from now, like where would your company be then, do you think? I mean, where do you hope to be, and how do you think manufacturing has you know, will change?
Yeah, so we're in a process of expanding, and both up and down the production line. So we're working with companies that are doing food processing, where we started originally just doing packaging, and we're also working with companies that are looking at AGVs, guided vehicles. So I see us as developing more and more products to service our base of clients. So new products to the same customers is our drive, and then new markets for those products, so expansion into other countries. And where this could help, and I hadn't sort of thought before, but what you talk about with components and spare parts and so forth, that if in these other countries or other states we are able to print a part rather than keep stock of parts, I think it's a huge opportunity to have those parts made to order. So many times I've looked at businesses, or we purchase businesses, and they have these stores that 80% of them are full of redundant parts, and it's just it's waste, you know. So I see that over time we should be printing on demand. of components. And that's just not in Australia, that's around the world.
Amazing. I mean, it's great to hear a local Australian manufacturer that's really at the forefront of the packaging industry and in embracing technology. And I'm confident that HMPS will be very successful. So, if there are any food beverage manufacturers that are on the line or watching the recording later, Mark, how can they get in contact with your team to look at custom solutions?
Yeah, I mean, back through you, or just hit me up on LinkedIn. So yeah, my other major hat at the moment is I'm the Chief Recruitment Officer. So we're very open to speaking to anyone who's looking to get into the industry or change, whether they have a background in fitting and turning, electrical, mechatronics engineers. So yeah, just contact me through LinkedIn, or if you have difficulty, I'm sure they've got your details, Richard, and you could put them in touch with us.
Absolutely, and these are watched by engineers not only in Australia but around the world. So we'll definitely do that. So Mark, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for being a customer.
Thank you, Richard. Good luck with it all.
Thank you. All right. So with that, I will introduce my colleague Edwin Mock, who will be speaking about various applications and how Markforged and 3D printing is leveraged in the food, beverage, and packaging industry. Edwin is based in Singapore, and Edwin, we're really grateful to have you on the line with us today.
Thank you very much, Richard. Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I know some guests are on the same time zone with me, so it's still in the morning time. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Edwin. I'm newly joined Markforged for about 2 months. But before that, I'm very honored that I engaged with the 3D printing industry for almost 18 years. So I engage in different technology, from metal to composite, from laser to non-laser. So today it's my honor to share with you all that some of the ideas we are looking at in the food and beverage industry. So as we all know that the modern manufacturers need modern equipment for new business challenge or opportunities, I would say. So what the first thing is, today we are not focusing on printing the food, okay? But where we're focusing on is let's say the packaging, what kind in the packaging line, the spare parts, the replacement part in the conveyors, the end of arm toolings, or like the grippers, and also supporting the production like the tool house, like jig and fixtures, accessories, and even more is in the production area, like some blow molding toolings and mold, and also sheet metal forming parts. So let me take a case study. So in a water manufacturing company, so the raw materials or the product is water, but actually there's involved a lot of packaging topics. So what is packaging? So packaging basically is a planning, creating, a manufacturing, wrapping or boxes or bottling of goods for the consumer, customers, industry, and military markets. So the packaging market actually, in fact, play a very important role in all different kind of manufacturing production, especially for F&B industry. So make it simple, of course, we need to fulfill the first is transportation and storage. So how you can transport your goods securely to your end user, to your customers, that they can receive the products without damaging. And also in a higher level is marketing purpose, how you decorate it nicer, how you pack it into a nicer way. Is there any special pattern you can create on your packagings for your customer as well? Also now we're talking about environment issues. So maybe you need to reduce all these plastic wrapping on the surface. Then how you create more creative bottles from your product in terms of marketing effective. And also functional parts. For example, you need to have some metal container to carry your parts in a secure way. And last but not least is like supporting your mass productions requirement. And also we not see that the packagings are diversified by different industry. Different industry have different requirement or necessities on the packaging demands requests. So when we look at the market trend in 2020, the packaging industry is enormous economic generators. The status showed that is about 1.05 trillion by 2024. And this customer trend and industry trend for packaging drive a really, really large growth rate. And become more and more common is personalized packagings is happening now. For example, Coca-Cola, they will try to printing the personal people's name on their own bottles, and like Bud Light's printing the football teams on their own beer cans, etc., etc. And we can see this trend is coming more and more common. So it means that the personalized packaging's demand is coming. So that's why we need to make sure that our packaging production line should be flexible and agile. So let's come to the other area, which is the spare parts and replacement part in the conveyors. As we know that there's a lot of components involving in the automation line. Just recently, I visited a F&B company. There's a lots of parts involving, and you can see their warehouse they need to keep a lot of stock for the emergency or replacement purpose. According to what their feedback is, in the good scenarios, the lead time will be like a month, and the worst scenario can be up to 6 months. So for this kind of situation, this is really, really not good for the production stop for this kind of period of time to waiting for one single component to arrive. So that's why the demand for making the parts on site in a very fast way is coming. And this part could be including the rollers, the gears, the gauge, the socket, the O-rings, and etc. And according to our visit last time, we can identify more than 15 parts can be done with the 3D printing process, and the lead time will be significantly reduced from months to days. And also we have another case study together with Lipton's. So we are using our printers to print the characters for the packaging line. So the material we are using here is nylon. And nylon is one of the most common application material using for the cooking utilities, and also like food and packaging line, because they have a very good heat and abrasion resistance and its durabilities. And the other materials apart from nylon is stainless steel, 70-4 stainless steel, which is also providing a very good, safe application, and the durabilities and their excellent corrosion resistance on this material properties. And they have a sufficient in weight and thickness to withstand some repeated washings. And last but not least, copper is also another interesting material. We are able to apply that in this environment. And there's other applications we can apply it into the facilities, which is the vacuum gripper. So this is one of our customer called COBOT. They are using our printer to print the vacuum gripper. You can see from the video in the packaging line to unfold the boxes and make the boxes really fully automatically. In this case, you can significantly reduce the man-hour involvement, and also can achieve the lightweight in the robotics arms toolings. And also we can see there's other applications we can use it for in the automation line. It's using our onyx material for making the plates to holding the suctions on the robotics arm. And this one can provide a very good durabilities, and also if they have internal cooling channels, we can make it without any support inside the channel, so it's very easy for applied in the real applications. And the other application on the robotics is the end effectors like grippers. So you can see from here, from the robot end, we have printing the grippers for mechanically handling the trays and also unfold the trays automatically. So with these, also significantly reduce the manpower involvement, and also minimize the people in the production environment as well. And let's go to the other directions, like the toolings and mold for the production products, like the bottles. So 3D printing process with our metal or composite solution, also very good for blow molding, mold insert as well. So for example, this is a very good example when we are applying our X3, X5 or X7 model with the high strength, high temperatures fiber together with the composite materials. Because the high density PE had a melting point about 126 degrees Celsius to 137 degrees Celsius. So together with our Onyx material with the fiber can sufficiently sustain these kind of temperatures, and this will be providing a very good extrusion in the beginning of the stage as well. Oops. Another application is on the paper and paper pipe. So this one can use it for the mold for making these paper industry components can be used to make the mold, and also it can be decided with the hole and porosities. This will able to allow us to produce a very complex geometries and produce a multi-cat segment with various fillets. And this will also eliminate the need of machining of the mold base, and also it will be naturally porous and let the gas can release out significantly to form the shapes. And this will also bridging the hard toolings with a very low volume as well. And also for sheet metal forming, for some time when we need to make some metal cases like the shown in the photos, this will also be able to use our composite material with the carbon fiber to make the punch and die to make the sheet metal casings effectively. And here we have more applications could be used for different type of sheet metal forming, including bending, roll forming, deep drawing, shearing, and blanking and punch. And we can use it in different materials such as Onyx with fiber, or our metal machine with the A2 and D2 tool steels as well. So that's why let me come back to the case study we mentioned before, the water manufacturing company. So for them, they started with one X7 in Europe, and Markforged helped them to develop the e-catalogs in the system and the IGA adoptions. And then they just copy and paste the idea into the APAC area in 2020 due to the COVID and import restrictions. And more than 100 parts have been identified in 1 month in 4 factories in one single country. The parts are built under the testing at the moment, and they are all spare parts in production conveyors. Okay, so this is extremely lead time saving from months, weeks to days. Okay, and it's extremely cost saving. We see that it's significantly reduced from 2,500 euros to 200 euros, and extremely quantity and positive Markforged print cost saving, which is about 12,000 pieces per year. And here is a very quick summary of the material can be applied for F&B industry. For example, nylon It can be used on the parts on the production line, such as the gear, hoppers, housing, etc. And the benefit will be significantly reduce the lead time. And together with the gas fiber and the high temperature fiber, together with nylon, they can even reinforce the part quality, such as the gear will be very useful for this kind of application, can provide a better part performance. And on next, this material, since they contain some small short fiber, there will be some concern in using in the real production line, but this material will be very good for the toolings and fixtures, such as the saw jaw and accessories, to provide a better performance as well. In the metal form, we have 17-4 pH stainless steel, and also the 316L stainless steel is coming on board very soon. This part can be used in the part on the production line, for example, like sensor holders, hand tools, and housing as well. Again, it can reduce significantly in the lead time from weeks, months to days. And last but not least is the copper. Copper is a very interesting material for the heat sink, heat exchangers, or packaging seal and bushes. This one will significantly reduce the machining time and improve the performance. And of course, don't forget, we have new materials coming. For example, the smooth TPU 95. This is also very useful for soft applications, okay? And also Ultim's 9085 filament, which can sustain a very high temperature in the extreme environment. So that would be a perfect solution if you have need to handling some heavy duties application like the containers or bucket with lots of liquid and inside. That would be a very good application as well. And last, of course, we have a bigger machines, and if your part is getting bigger and bigger, then you also need to consider this is also good to consider to using a bigger machine to print the part instead of you separate the part and join it together. So this is only some possibility we had experienced before, and we are really looking forward to work together with all the audience here to create more new application in the near futures. So thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer the questions. If not, so thanks for the joining, and you can reach me and Richard on our email. So thank you very much, and have a good day.